Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back to Byte Reality News, the channel where we break down the tech news that actually matters. Today we have a wild lineup. We're going to talk about why one of the smartest investors in tech is putting millions of dollars into the most boring parts of artificial intelligence. It sounds weird, but trust me, it's a game changer. Then we're diving into the hacker world because someone finally managed to get Linux running on a PlayStation 5. Yes, you heard that right. And to top it all off, we'll look at some hot new hardware, including Motorola's brand new premium phone and some killer Mother's Day deals on gadgets you might actually want to buy. You are not going to want to miss this one. So let's jump right into our main story. When you think about artificial intelligence, what comes to mind? Probably stuff like ChatGPT writing an essay for you, or Midjourney creating some insane piece of art from a single sentence. It's the flashy, exciting, in-your-face stuff that grabs all the headlines. But what if I told you the real multi-trillion-dollar revolution in artificial intelligence isn't happening there? What if it's happening in the background, in the places nobody is looking? That's the bet being made by Nicolas Sauvage. He's the president of TDK Ventures, the venture capital arm of TDK Corporation, a massive Japanese electronics company. These are the folks who make a ton of the tiny, essential components inside the phone in your pocket. They know hardware, and Sauvage is basically shouting from the rooftops that everyone is too focused on the artificial intelligence models themselves and completely ignoring the massive problem on the horizon. The problem is the physical infrastructure needed to actually run all this stuff. Think of it like this. An amazing artificial intelligence model like GPT-4 is like a Formula One race car. It's a masterpiece of engineering, incredibly powerful, and can do things that seem like magic. But that car is absolutely useless without a racetrack, without high-tech fuel, without a team of mechanics, and without super advanced tires. Sauvage is betting on the companies that are building the track, brewing the fuel, and inventing the tires. He calls it the boring stuff, but it's the foundation for everything. His fund is pouring money into three key areas. First, hardware. We're talking about the chips, the servers, and the data centers. Running these massive language models takes an insane amount of computational power. It generates a ridiculous amount of heat and consumes a scary amount of electricity. Companies that are creating more energy-efficient chips or developing new ways to cool down data centers without using a river's worth of water are going to be worth a fortune. It's not as sexy as a new chatbot, but without it, the whole system grinds to a halt. The demand for processing power is growing exponentially, and our current hardware is struggling to keep up in an energy-efficient way. The second area is materials science. This is even more fundamental. We're talking about the actual raw materials used to create the next generation of electronics. New composite materials that can make chips run faster and cooler. New battery technologies to power all these devices and data centers more sustainably. It's about inventing the building blocks that future engineers will use to create technology we can't even imagine yet. This is deep tech, the kind of stuff that takes years of research and development but leads to massive leaps forward. And the third and maybe most important area is energy. This is the elephant in the room that a lot of artificial intelligence hype men don't like to talk about. A recent study suggested that by 2027, the artificial intelligence industry could consume as much electricity as a country the size of Sweden or Argentina. That is just a staggering amount of power. Where is it all going to come from? Sauvage is investing in companies focused on energy resilience. This means everything from next-generation renewable energy sources to smarter electrical grids that can handle these massive new loads without collapsing. Honestly, I think this perspective is so refreshing and so important. We're all obsessed with the tip of the iceberg, the user-facing application. But Sauvage is reminding us that 90% of the iceberg is underwater. It's the physical reality of compute, power, and materials. And the companies that solve these boring problems are the ones who will truly own the future, long after the hype around the latest chatbot is faded. They are building the picks and shovels for the gold rush. So while everyone else is chasing the gold, maybe the real money is in the boring stuff. All right, from the foundational infrastructure of tomorrow to the hardware you have in your living room today. Let's talk about the PlayStation 5. For years, the holy grail for console hackers has been to jailbreak the machine, to unlock it from Sony's closed ecosystem and run whatever software you want on it. And folks, it looks like a major milestone has been reached. A well-known hacker has successfully managed to boot a full version of the Linux operating system on a PlayStation 5. Now, before you get too excited and start thinking you'll be playing Steam games on your PS5 next week, let's calm down a bit. This is a huge proof of concept, but it's still very early days. The hack was achieved by the prominent security researcher Andy Nguyen, who has a history of finding vulnerabilities in Sony's systems. He used an exploit in the software that runs the console's Blu-ray drive. Basically, he found a loophole, a crack in the armor, that allowed him to get access to the kernel, which is the core of the operating system. Think of it like finding a key that opens a door to the main control room of a building. Once you're in the control room, you can start telling the building what to do. In this case, he used that access to load and run Linux, a popular open-source operating system. He even posted videos showing the PS5 booting into a command-line interface and recognizing its core components, like its processor with 8 cores and 16 threads. So what does this mean in practice? Right now, not a whole lot for the average user. The biggest limitation is that the hack doesn't have access to the most important part of the PS5 for gaming, the graphics card. There's currently no 3D graphics acceleration, which means you can't run any modern games. You might be able to run some very old, simple games through emulation, or use the PS5 as a very expensive and oversized desktop computer for coding or browsing the web. But the real significance here isn't what it can do today, it's what it opens the door for tomorrow. This is the first major step towards a fully functional homebrew community on the PlayStation 5. With kernel access, developers and hackers from around the world can start exploring the system, understanding how it works, and building custom software for it. This could eventually lead to custom applications, media players, emulators for older consoles, and yes, maybe one day, a way to run other gaming libraries. Of course, I have to give the big disclaimer. This is a highly technical process that involves exploiting a software flaw. It will 100% void your warranty. It could potentially brick your console, turning it into a very expensive paperweight. And Sony will absolutely be working to patch this vulnerability in a future firmware update. So, for now, this is a fascinating story for us tech enthusiasts to watch from the sidelines. A classic cat-and-mouse game between a corporation and the hacker community. It's a testament to the drive to make our hardware truly our own. Okay, let's shift gears from hacking hardware to buying hardware. There are a couple of big things happening in the consumer tech space right now, especially with Mother's Day just around the corner, which always brings a ton of deals. First up, Motorola is back with a new flagship contender. They've just launched their new Edge series, and the model that's catching everyone's eye is the Motorola Edge 50 Pro. For the past few years, Motorola has been trying to find its place in the premium smartphone market, competing against giants like Apple and Samsung. The Edge 50 Pro feels like their most confident effort yet. It's positioned as a premium device that sits just below those super expensive $1,200 Ultra or Pro Max phones. It's for people who want a high-end experience without completely emptying their wallets. So what's it packing? The big story Motorola is pushing is the display and the camera. They're calling it the world's first smartphone with a Pantone Validated display and camera system. Now, what does that actually mean? Pantone is the company that basically standardizes colors for all kinds of industries, from fashion to graphic design. A Pantone Validated screen means that the colors you see on the display are incredibly accurate, true to life. For photographers, videographers, or anyone who really cares about color, this is a huge deal. It means what you shoot with the camera will look correct on the screen. Beyond the color science, it has all the specs you'd expect from a premium phone in this price range. A beautiful, high refresh rate OLED display, a capable processor, and some ridiculously fast charging, both wired and wireless. Motorola is really leaning into its strengths, offering a clean version of Android with some clever software additions and a design that looks and feels really sleek. It's a solid alternative for someone who is tired of the usual suspects and wants something a little different that still delivers a premium experience. And speaking of buying new tech, the deals for Mother's Day are starting to roll in, and there are a couple of really good ones to highlight. First, on Amazon, they're doing a big push on the Echo Dot with Alexa. You can grab the latest generation for what works out to be about 54 Rs over 7 months with no interest. That is incredibly cheap. For anyone whose mom doesn't have a smart speaker yet, this is kind of a no-brainer gift. It's super easy to set up, and it's perfect for playing music, setting kitchen timers, getting the weather forecast, or controlling a few smart lights. It's one of those little quality-of-life gadgets that people don't realize they want until they have one. But if you're looking to go bigger than a smart speaker, there's a fantastic smartphone deal happening over at Magazine Louisa. They're offering the brand new Samsung Galaxy A55 with 256 gigabytes of storage for up to 49% off with a coupon. This is a pretty crazy discount on a phone that was just released. The Galaxy A series is Samsung's mid-range line, but honestly, these phones have gotten so good they feel almost like flagships. The A55 has a gorgeous AMOLED screen, a massive battery that will easily last all day, and a very respectable camera system. For the vast majority of people, this phone has all the power and features they will ever need. And at this price, it is an absolute steal. It's probably one of the best bang-for-your-buck deals we'll see this season. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Tech is moving forward at a blistering pace on every single level. At the highest level, you have visionaries like Nicolas Sauvage forcing the industry to think about the fundamental physical limitations of our artificial intelligence dreams. We're being reminded that software is nothing without the hardware and energy to power it. Then you have the enthusiast and hacker community, constantly pushing the boundaries of what our consumer devices can do, unlocking the potential that manufacturers try to keep locked down, as we see with the PlayStation 5. And finally, you have the relentless march of consumer tech, with companies like Motorola offering compelling new premium options and deals on devices like the Galaxy A55 making incredible technology more accessible to everyone. From the data center to the living room, the future is being built, hacked, and sold. And it is an exciting time to be watching it all unfold. If this content made sense to you and you learned something new, do me a huge favor and smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow and tells the YouTube algorithm that we're doing good work here. Send this video to a friend who needs to hear about this stuff, especially if they have a PS5 or are looking for a new phone. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss another Byte Reality news update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.